fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly that. I like the way he didn't want to talk about Aristophanes, and
Eventually,
oh dear, sorry guys. Yeah, no, when they start pointing to lights in the skies, that's it. I get turned on to that. I think that's hilarious. So yeah, when any baller says, "Oh, let's look at the lights in the skies," my ears prick up straight away.
I get annoyed by their annoyance because it's not them that are justified in being annoyed by all this shit. It's us. You know, this stuff gets asserted, and when you pick it apart and show that it is fallacious, and they still assert it, that really does make my blood boil. Like, you should be in a position to be apologetic for this nonsense when it's shown to you. But they don't. They double down. They get angry. They swear. Tell us that we're on a slippery slope of denial.
It's projection, a lot of it. They're projecting it back on upon us.
what you should do, Nathan, is get a silhouette of a portrait of a bloke's head, you know, so it's got no face to it or whatever, it's just black. And then put in Aristophanes, and then from whatever and to whatever. And then like some kind of like rest in peace or something. Stick that in with all the photos that we have in the background, just so that we remember that their Messiah is Aristophanes. And when it pops up periodically, and it gives you like an aid memoir to the importance of that particular point. Because I mean, let's be honest, I can't. When it was compared to Christ, that's when it hit me like a brick wall. It was like, fuck, that's their Messiah. In the same, and everyone challenges Christ, and it's not seen as unacceptable, but challenging Aristophanes clearly seems to be. So just get some kind of bust with his name on it and the date before and after, and then put it in your slideshow so that we can see it regularly and we can talk about it.
Is that the real George?
It won't be the real George.
Yes, this is me.
Hello, George.
I was just checking to see if Nummy Num was here.
No.
Yeah.
All right, carry on.
Have you got a view on whether we should be challenging Aristophanes or not, George?
Say what, Riley?
And do you have a view on whether or not we should be challenging whether Aristophanes existed or not?
I just tuned in. I don't know anything about what has been discussed previously. But you mean Aristophanes as a man, whether or not he actually lived?
Yeah, he lived about 200 years. I think.
Yeah, I know. No, he's a Greek.
Yeah, 200 years before Christ, right? Everybody seems fair that everybody can challenge whether or not Christ existed. But when we challenged whether or not Aristophanes existed, the guy on the show today went fucking
yeah. Okay, well, I didn't listen to the show, so I don't know what was discussed. But sure, you're within your right to challenge whether or not any historical figures existed. I do believe he was a real man and lived, and I believe Christ was too. Christ is an important historical figure.
Oh, right, that's interesting. You believe that Christ didn't exist. What is your view? Are you religious, George, in any way?
No, I don't believe he was the son of God, but I do believe he was a man that roamed the earth, and probably a good philosopher, a good man. As far as being God, no, I don't believe that, but I do believe Christ is an important historical figure.
I've never heard anyone on your side say that before. That's interesting.
George is religious.
He is religious.
No.
Yeah,
He's a wonderful man of Aristophanes.
I don't think that's fair because most people to a degree upbringing. You know, when I was a kid got took to Sunday school. I wouldn't call myself religious, but I get tarred as a religious tard all the time, and I'm sure George is no different to me, right? George, you're not that religious. You're not a fundamentalist, right?
No, I'm not. No, I was brought up in a Christian home as an Episcopalian. I went to Sunday school. And, I've learned through the Bible, and but since I have different views on it.
Just normal.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we did back then. I mean, every family where, pretty much everyone in the community was good Christian families. You went to Sunday school, you went to church on Sundays. It was a thing you did. It was part of the culture.
Yeah, exactly. So when people are like, oh, you're religious, it's like, well, so what? Maybe you occasionally go to church on a Sunday. It doesn't like make you some
No,
religious.
Nathan, I think you misunderstood what we meant when we said religious. We didn't mean of following of any particular Christ-based religion. We meant religion as in the heliocentric model.
Oh, right. I thought we were specifically talking about Christianity in
No,
comparison.
we were talking about being a son of, instead of being a son of God, George being the son of Aristophanes.
I see.
His religion is the globe.
Yeah. Come on, Nathan, you're a bit slow there, lad.
Well, I thought the conversation had diverged onto the Jesus side of it, but obviously we were still on the Aristophanes side of it, which is fair enough.
Yeah, but the short answer, Anthony, is yeah, I believe Aristophanes was a man. He did the things that have been recorded in the literature, and the same thing with Christ of having roamed the earth. I don't believe in the miracles that has been attributed to him, but he is a very important historical figure. I mean, that's undeniable.
Sure, isn't it? But would it not surprise you to? Well, given that, all right, let me ask you this: can you think of anybody that's famous, that's real famous, that is known by just a surname? Like, for instance, Sting, right? But he's not a real person. That's a pseudonym. It's a stage name. Sting didn't actually exist. His pseudonym on stage did, but Sting himself isn't a real person, right? What else is there? Is there anybody, apart from maybe Jesus, who was known as Jesus Christ, but how many people are known just by surname only?
Oh, gosh, I'm sure there's plenty. I mean, just give me a moment here to think.
I don't see the weight of your question, really, Anthony.
Yeah, I'm not quite on the same page either.
Well, I'll give you an example. Michael Jackson is not known as Jackson. Elvis Presley is not known as
Oh,
Presley.
you mean as a single, as just a single name like Cher or whatever?
How many people are there that are actually real? Right, and I don't mean stage names. Actually, were known by just their surname or just some other name. That's like, I don't think there's anybody.
You mean
Apart from-
historically?
Jesus
someone
wasn't his
famous.
surname.
Well, most people know him as Jesus Christ.
Not a surname, though, is it?
Well, whatever his name is. My point is that apart from like Jesus, and maybe I suppose you could include Plato, Socrates,
Yeah, I was
Aristotle.
going to say, yeah, Plato and Socrates.
Yeah, but again, you could question.
Aristotle. How about Aristotle, one of the greatest philosophers ever?
Yeah, greatest philosophers, right? Not science, not physics.
Well, there wasn't really physics in that sense back then. I mean, physics in terms of science is a rather new development in human history. I mean, science, in a sense, really didn't come into its own until about, 300 years ago or so. You know, the Greeks were real close to really having science. I mean, they were just inches away from discovering the calculus. They just got so caught up in their arguments. They had trouble conceiving large numbers and infinity. They just could not conceive of infinity. The largest thing in their language for large numbers was myriad, which was, on the order of 10,000 or greater than 10,000. But they just could not conceive of how to sum to an infinity. And had they broken through that, we would have had the calculus 2,000 years ago. And who knows where human history would be today if we had those tools 2,000 years ago. It's just mind-boggling.
So, number one, that's not science, that's maths. But that aside, what actual primary source evidence is there for these types of individuals, Plato included? What's the...
Well, it's just the literature, recorded history. The same thing like Bible. Bible's recorded history, is it not?
Sure, but in terms of give it me in round numbers. So, what would you say is the oldest source reference for Plato?
I really can't give you an answer on that. I'm not all that well versed in literature.
I mean, I would be surprised if you'd find any reference that was beyond 400 years old for this character that's asserted to be.
Yeah, I think there are. I mean, I can't, off the on the spot give
No,
you that.
I totally understand. It's not reasonable for me to say, look, go away and then come back in a week and say, look, right, I know there's a reference to this reference, but it's apparently in the Library of Alexandria or whatever. I'm not asking you to come up with that on the spot, but I'm just saying I would, challenge yourself maybe to try and find, number one, a primary source, which I guarantee you won't find, but then in lieu of that, see how far back you can find references to these particular characters, and I think you'll be shocked.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, I haven't really done that personally. I would be surprised if I couldn't find something, earlier than, say, 300-400 years. I know that, there's also things on papyrus documents, from Egypt. We have those sorts of things. And other scrolls, but I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just guessing. It would surprise me if there were, but I'll look into it.
Yeah, well, that's a good example. So, in terms of papyri that have been found in Egypt, then you start looking into the validity of the discoveries. I mean, I don't want to lead you because it's a nice little rabbit hole to go down. Fun, totally devoid of attachment to heliocentric belief in any way, shape, or form, but just an interesting rabbit hole.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, historical records is a fascinating area. I just have not been all that interested in pursuing it, but I might look into that a little bit.
I agree. For me, it holds a limited fascination, but then occasionally someone will come along and challenge you on something that you just say about a particular individual, even if you're expressing someone else's narrative about that individual. They'll go, well, what do you know about their existence to begin with? And you go, oh, well, that's historic, right? That's just accepted. And as soon as you say those words, you think to yourself, here we go. Why am I asserting this? And then you do a little digging and go, shit, there's not very much information beyond a couple of 100 years, and then you might find a couple that go beyond that by 50, 200, 300. You're not going much further beyond that, and it just seems like there's a lot of fabrication going on when you come to things like the Egyptian discoveries that are very recent. I mean, very recent in our history.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Egyptians did hide a lot of this stuff really rather well, But yeah, no, I agree. I mean, let's look at as far as Egyptian hieroglyphics. I mean, we could not decipher them until the Rosetta Stone. You're talking around, what was it, the early 1800s or mid 1800s that we finally were able to decipher the hieroglyphics.
But there's accounts of caves with hieroglyphics in that get worn out as tourists go and look at them, so they reproduce them slightly down the road in a different cave so that the tourists can still appreciate them.
Well, that makes sense.
Well, my point being that it's easy to replicate them, and the ones that were there originally seem to be fading away. They've managed to survive a couple of 1,000 years, but then suddenly a few tourists breathing on them means that they fade away and need to be replicated in a different cave. Doesn't that stink to you?
No, not in this. No, it depends. I mean, if you start opening up these caves where you can get moisture coming in when a cave is closed up, you have pretty stagnant, stale air, and the oxygen gets robbed after a while, so you don't have the sort of deterioration that you do when it's open to the atmosphere.
Sure.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me.
That I agree with, but the problem comes when there's a new cave opened with replicas in and tourists are shown them. Well, at some point they just stop saying that that's a replica. Maybe that was the case with the ones that are fading in the cave that they've just decided to seal off as being.
Okay, I see your point. All right. Well, you know,
being
yeah.
easy to replicate, easy to produce, even though it's claimed, well, how did they do this thousands of years ago? Well, they might have done it 100 years ago, for all you know.
Yeah, Nathan. Well, I tell you, you know, you can question all these things that way, and you just don't go anywhere. You don't. I mean, I can't prove or disprove that conjecture. Again, we have to take certain things on faith, in a sense that you know that these sorts of things didn't happen, but you know, by forensic science in a way, examining these sorts of things and looking at the literature, the historical record, you kind of piece things together and what may or may not have occurred. But you know, there's nothing in life that we can know for certain, I guess, other than your own existence.
You said forensics and then put the word science after it, and again, like with mathematics, it's not science, though, is it? You do establish things with certitude. You can establish cause.
I'm not exactly sure what you're getting at there, but the thing is, like the tools of what we call the tools of science, forensic science. I mean, we've developed certain tools for measuring, for examining things that we can ascertain the authenticity of things.
Yeah, that would be an observation, though. For example, if somebody leaves a fingerprint, and then you go and retrieve that fingerprint and compare it and contrast it to a suspect's fingerprint, that would be an observation. It wouldn't be science. It wouldn't be establishing a cause.
Well, no. I mean, you're using the tools of science
No.
that have been established by science. I mean, why get hung up on the terms? I mean, it's a tool. It's a method for examination.
Yeah, it's not science, though, is it?
Examination, that's fine. You can examine and compare a fingerprint, for example, or blood, or anything.
That's a measurement. Yeah, we make measurements all the time. You take a tape rule to measure the length of the side of your home. I mean, you don't call that necessarily science. It's a measurement that you're making.
That would be because it's called maths.
Well, I wouldn't call it math. It's measure.
If I'm measuring my house or comparing a fingerprint, I'd call that.
No, it's not. No, it comes under the term of
personally.
The term of mensuration.
Second, yeah, I wouldn't call it science, but you would. That's my point.
No, I'm not calling it science. It's mensuration.
Isn't it called forensic science?
Yeah, that's my point, P. Thanks.
Yeah, there's forensic science. Yeah. I mean, we use the term science loosely a lot of times.
Yeah, here we go again.
Like people use the term engineer loosely.
When we boil down forensic science, like looking at a fingerprint, you're having a little look at something, and you're comparing it to something else. That is not science. And then if you compare the swirls on the fingerprint and measure their swirliness, that would be a measurement of something. That would be mathematics, not science. But you want to attribute science to it, because science does prove things. It proves cause. So when someone says, my forensic science proves things, well, no, it's not scientifically proving anything. But it's nice to use the word science because it makes it seem like it proves things.
Well, it does. I mean, it's derived from scientific investigation. It's a tool that we derive.
Forensic science means using the scientific method, applying the scientific method to the process of solving crimes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you believe that they're establishing cause and effect? Well, the cause of the crime would be the perpetrator of the crime. A fingerprint doesn't establish cause. If I am leaving my fingerprint in a bank moments before somebody comes and robs that bank, and they retrieve my fingerprint and analyze it and compare it to my fingerprint, that doesn't establish cause and never will. Didn't prove I robbed the bank. That's what science does. It proves cause and effect. After you've established what your effect that you're studying is. Well, forensic science isn't science, because if it was, it'd be establishing the cause of things. Well, if you can tell me what the independent variable for a bank robbery is, I'll laugh.
I think the problem is
What the
when George
fuck?
said that we use the term science loosely and then not realizing that that's our point.
Yeah. It's not a loose term, it's a very specific term.
Your fingerprint proves you were there.
And they want to make it sound like they're proving something.
It does prove something.
When we say the science of something, like the science of forensic investigations, or whether the term science used in that sense as an adjective is describes a method of deduction, basically, of investigation, of eliminating,
I get it.
isolating variables so that you find, you get down to a cause in a sense, or eliminate the variable.
That's my bloody point, George. No, hijack the term science because science establishes cause. Yeah? Your bloody forensics don't establish cause. Like my fingerprint example.
Well, what's the point to all of this? I mean, the thing is, in these investigations, but
Why are you rumpusing me? Why can't we have a civil conversation? So, you've got your fingerprint, you've compared it and you've analysed it and you've done the maths of how swirly it is, and you've got a conclusive comparison. My fingerprint versus the bank vault's fingerprint, right? Yeah? Is that a proof of a cause? Oh, right. Well, guess what? There's an explanation. They gave me a tour of the bank vault because I asked if I could have a look. I was interested. So I left my fingerprint on the door. It's not me that's the cause, but yet science does establish cause. So if you want to say in a courtroom that I'm a forensic scientist, the jury will immediately think, oh, wow, this guy establishes cause. No, it's just useful to make it seem that way, as you detailed a moment ago. To make it seem like you've got a cause. No, that's not what forensic science does, because it's not science.
Your example is retarded because no one in a courtroom is going to argue that your fingerprint caused you to commit the robbery or is the proof that you were the cause of the robbery. They will just use your fingerprint to prove that you were there. That's all that they will establish that you were there, and it does prove that you were there.
They're robbing the bank, P. They're trying to prove me as being there to rob the bank. And they say, look, he was there. His fingerprints were there. He was there.
Yeah.
And I go, yeah, I was there. I was just having a look around. And they go, no, you were robbing the bank.
But
no,
the fingerprint proves you were there.
Mars is correct on this. All that forensic science is doing, or establishing the fingerprint, is that you were in the vicinity. You were there. The rest of the evidence is weighed by the jury to determine whether or not your presence there was instrumental in the robbery.
So they established with certitude that I was there, correct?
Well, yeah, at some point in time you were there, obviously. You left that fingerprint.
So it wasn't my twin brother with identical fingerprints to me then?
There are no identical fingerprints.
Oh, really? So my identical twin doesn't have identical fingerprints to me?
Correct. Twins don't have identical fingerprints.
You sure about that?
Prints
Yes.
be planted.
What was that? The prints could be planted?
Yeah. They can
Well,
be
that's
lifted
true.
and
I mean,
can't they?
but the thing, well, if you're going to bring it up to a jury, that's the whole idea of presenting more evidence, is to determine whether or not you've been framed, or that's been planted, or you actually were present and that
Okay,
was there.
you're trying to lead you down this path. It doesn't establish a cause, but it might contribute to a probability. Correct?
Okay.
Well, science establishes cause. So if you want to strap science onto your bullshit probability, I'm going to call foul and say no. Using the word science when you're not proving cause, you're establishing a probability. That's a foul. It's not science. Not science. If it was, we'd have a cause.
I'm still not quite seeing where you're headed with this. I mean, we use the term science as an adjective to describe a process of investigation as opposed to just blindly guessing.
And that's the point.
Yeah, science establishes cause, whereas people hijack it when they want probability to seem like a cause.
Okay, I'm still not quite on the same page here. I don't know what you're headed with on this, but okay.
Well, let me give you the broad strokes. Astrophysicists assert things as being real. They also assert that they are scientists, and they only have step one in the actual scientific method: observe a phenomena. They can do that all day long. But when it comes to establishing the cause of that phenomena, then they hijack the term science to make their cause seem more likely, when in fact they've only got a probability based on observation only, not establishing cause and effect, not manipulation of independent and dependent variables, but guesswork based on observation only. That's not science. But again, hijack.
Well, that's your opinion on it. That the thing is in science, Nathan, in scientific investigations, what we try to do before we establish that we have demonstrated with a certainty, we go to what we call 5 sigma, that is 5 standard deviations. Once you ascertain something to within that probability, we say it's pretty much a certainty. You can never, ever for certain establish anything with 100% certainty. But we can get pretty damn close by demanding a 5 sigma confidence level in establishing things.
Yeah, that still doesn't establish a cause. That's my point. You're establishing probable, highly likely, very, very highly likely. That's not a cause. That's a high probability or a high likelihood, not a cause. That's what science does. Gives you a cause.
Well, I'm missing something here in previous discussion. I still not quite seeing what all this about cause and science is all about, where you're headed.
Let me have a go.
To assert something is real, yeah, it's useful if the thing you strap onto your title or your Aussie experiment has the authority to seem like it's legitimately established something as a cause. Black holes, for example. Now, are they established as real and causally affecting our reality or the reality of anything around? Well, an astrophysicist would say yes, because we've got 5 standard deviations of probability here, so it's highly likely to be correct. I would say no, because you pseudoscientists haven't applied the scientific method and haven't established that as the cause. You're asserting it to within 5 standard deviations as highly probable. That's not the same thing, but it's useful to make it sound like it's got science on its side, because science does prove things, proves cause.
It's like, you know, when you give an endorsement, for if you're, say, a music artist and you endorse somebody else's rendition of your work, if it's been endorsed by the original artist, it adds a lot of credibility to it. But at the end of the day, it's still just a repetition of, right? It's the endorsement of the word science when it's not actually science that's the problem.
I'm still trying to get on the same page here.
He doesn't follow.
A scientific method, it's not science.
Well, it sounds to me like you're trying to fit a very, very narrow definition in here.
Science is defined narrowly, but unfortunately Nathan's dropped for some reason. But science isn't a broad definition, but it's applied broadly and it's incorrect.
Okay, that's your opinion on it. I mean, fine. I beg to differ. I mean, I find a 5 sigma confidence level pretty damn good, and I accept it. I mean, you have to move on, to build upon our knowledge. I mean, it's not only just one experiment necessarily, or one investigation that establishes what we consider to be fact. It happens, you have a whole body or collection of evidence that all points to and converge to the same conclusion, and that helps build up your confidence level. I mean, again, we can't know anything for 100% certainty, except, you throw a baseball, hit me in the head. I know that for 100% you hit me in the head. I don't have to go and try to investigate through a scientific method whether that happened or not. But, on a lot of things, we just cannot know with 100% certainty, but we can get pretty damn close.
No, if we use the scientific method, then we've established the cause of an effect. Ergo, we found it out. We know. There's no other answer. Scientific method proves the cause of the effect.
But the thing is you don't always have access to directly manipulate certain variables to establish a cause directly. So you have to infer by looking at how it interacts with nature, or interacts with matter or forces or whatever, and you can infer what is happening, just like with electrons or the nucleus of an atom. We can't see the nucleus of an atom, but we feel pretty damn confident that it exists, and we know the structure of an atom by investigating how atoms and nuclei and constituent parts interact with other matter and other forces. But I can't tell you for sure with 100% certainty that there is a nucleus. What we call a nucleus, we have a pretty good damn idea of what it is. We know its nature. We know how it behaves, how it interacts with other material.
But you were not able to manipulate it in any way. Therefore, it's not science.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
If you're going to have trouble manipulating the stuff that you're supposed to be manipulating, then you come to a dead end, don't you?
Then there's where it becomes pseudoscience. Yeah.
No, you don't reach a dead end. I mean,
you start going for correlations, don't you? You start going through complex hypotheses to bring more variables into your equation.
My mom always told me, science is as science does.
Thank you, P.
Really useful, that P. Well done. Well, I guess that was the end of the conversation for today, folks. Guess Nathan's not coming back.
I'm getting out of here, yeah. I got my hands full over here. Thank you, guys.
All right, well, catch you tomorrow,
buddy.
boys and girls.
See you later, guys. Take care. See you soon.
Laters. Bye-bye.
See ya, circus freak. Nathan's not coming back. Let's all leave at the same time.
So, I guess I stepped into it. I didn't know what was going on here. What's this whole thing about what is science and what isn't science? And I'm not quite on that same page yet.
A good way to win an argument is to define terms for yourself. So they come up with these definitions of what science is or whatever that is. They just change the definitions of things to win arguments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess I don't see the point of well, I still haven't wrapped my head around this yet. I'm not quite seeing the point of them objecting to calling many investigations that we do through a logical deductive reasoning, why we aren't allowed to call that a science. I guess I'm not quite there yet. I guess in their mind somehow you have to be able to establish, manipulate, have direct access to certain parameters or variables to directly manipulate them, that we aren't allowed to do investigations indirectly to infer the nature of something. I don't know. I'm not quite following that.
I don't know. They say Cavendish isn't a real experiment because you can't manipulate gravity as the independent variable or something like that.
Oh, okay. I got you. Okay, I'm seeing it now. Okay. Yeah.
Or if it's man-made, then it's not natural, and science is just about the natural world. Like, that's pretty dumb too. They'll say that.
Yeah, I've heard that one. Yeah. So tell me, P. Mars, did you guys get hit with much snow over there?
Not too much, just a dusting.
Yeah, god damn it. Weather got cold fast.
Yeah.
I think you're in the same system over there as we are. You generally get hit about a half a day sooner than we do over here.
Yeah. You're a little bit colder where you are, but it's pretty similar.
Well, not necessarily. But yeah, in general we're a little bit colder, but it's always seemed that the weather that comes over from the Dakotas kind of swings a little bit south of us. There's kind of like that corridor of weather that extends from us down to the Iron Range in Duluth, and your weather kind of slips to the south of us, and Duluth a lot of times will get a lot worse storms. You guys generally get worse storms than we do. It's like it almost loses some of its punch and energy by the time it makes it over here.
Well, in Fargo, we don't have any hills or any trees, so there's nothing to block the wind. So it's really windy here. Which wind?
Yeah, we get a lot of that
cold
crap coming out of Manitoba too, off the prairies there.
The wind is the worst thing, really.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
The wind with the cold is just brutal.
Yeah, there's something about wind that's very unsettling. I never sleep very well when it's windy out.
It's nice when it's hot, though. I guess it makes it not as hot.
Yeah. 'Cause, 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 'cause,
No way. Someone in my chat. Someone in my chat says Jamie Brown is quitting Flat Earth.
Oh, what? This is live somewhere?
Yeah,
This hangout?
I was streaming.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
Verify this. You can't believe everything you read in chat. Maybe Earth is a globe after all.
IOP to keep people away from the real truth of what's going on. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it though.
What the fuck?
But anyway, thanks for watching. Sorry, I haven't been watching chat. I just didn't want to get distracted
Where
with
is this
it.
being streamed,
So,
P-Mars?
My channel is P-Mars.
Yeah.
You have a
Like
link
I said,
there
I
you
don't
could
care
put on
either
the
way
group
what
chat?
it is. I mean, people say that, how it sort
don't
of,
really have a link.
it proves
you can
there's a
just
god if
search
it's flat. Well,
P-Mars.
no. I mean, you shouldn't need a flat Earth to prove a god. And you shouldn't need a bowler to prove there isn't. Well, I mean, basically the whole thing with the shape.
No,
To me, it's
I
like
got all kinds of other references.
whatever's going on with the shape.
It's an acronym for
We're still
government,
being lied to.
military, and government.
There's big pharma. There's vaccines.
Let's see, military and government. What does PMAR stand
The
for?
legal system.
Post it in this chat on the right. I don't know. Do you
Okay.
see the chat? Do you see that?
Problem management and recording system. That's you.
False flag attacks,
PMARS.
things like that. The list goes
That's where
on.
I got it from.
Okay.
So, yeah, just.
All right, now I got it. Thanks.
I mean, it's basically the whole thing with the. To me, it's like.
Yeah,
just keep searching.
I'm watching
whatever's
Jamie
going on.
Brown.
Maybe you should search within. Perhaps that's the thing, like. Because all this external things are it's all programming. Maybe we need to just let go of everything. Vaccines. And just
What's
go back
what's
to
going
what
on
we
with
can know
Jamie
within
Brown? I
ourselves.
haven't heard of him in
So
6 months or more. Does he
again,
still have a
thanks
channel?
for watching. Take care. Don't know
Yeah,
when I'm
it
going to
looks
be
like
on next, but
he might think there's
hopefully
a
I'll be on
globe
with my
now.
mum next Sunday doing a cooking show. I mean,
Oh, really?
He's gonna do a cooking show.
Yeah.
He said.
just yeah, like that's it. So peace out, everyone.
Peace.
Flat anymore? Like what? Like, I mean, maybe we're inside of a globe. I don't know. Something just isn't right, is what I'm saying. Like maybe if someone could help me out in the
Well,
comments
anyway,
afterwards.
guys, I'll catch you later. I gotta get some work done over here.
Alright, see you later, George.
Take care.
And
the Earth might be a globe. I don't know. Like my video. Subscribe to my channel. The Earth might be a globe. I don't know. Like my video. Jamie Brown. Subscribe.
guys,
Goes.
I wasn't gonna go live right now, but it's just has stuff on my mind really. Just that, I've just got to be honest with everyone really, and people aren't gonna like it, but I really don't care. I'd rather just be honest with people that, I mean, there's things that I can't really sort of like get my head around how they would even work. You know, if we're not on a globe, like that's just sort of the truth, well, my truth anyway. That there's things like how like yeah, I probably couldn't even begin to list the things like um and like the first one is like why does why do things appear to get lower like than your eye level if basically an object that's at your eye level should stay at your eye level, yeah, unless there's some refraction going on or something. I don't know, but I suppose this is a kind of sort of me trying to reach out to the flat Earth community, whatever. That there's just things like that I cannot sort of get my head around how it would actually work. Like there's things that do make more sense on a globe. I will be honest. Like, um, to me, the globe Earth does have points to it. I cannot deny that. I'm not just gonna keep denying that the globe is, like that. There's no points going for it. For me, like, there is certain things that make me think, maybe it is, but why does it matter anyway? I mean, we're still being lied to. I mean, like, we're still being lied to, but I just kind of feel like sometimes that is this all just a big massive wind up? I mean, people keep saying stuff like "water's flat," Well, what if it isn't? What if it isn't fucking flat?
We are being lied to, but not about the shape of the Earth.
You know, just the truth of it. Like people keep parroting these things. They keep, like they keep saying stuff. Like they keep repeating what someone else has said. So, yeah, like there's things that I cannot sort of figure out how it would even work on a flat Earth. So, I cannot say that I'm a flat earther because I can't even, like, there's things that I couldn't even sort of rectify. I mean, like, to me, this was all rolled out on purpose. So even if it is true, it's been rolled out on purpose to get people divided and get people distracted on things that, it's just a waste of time.
Yeah, I think they're letting us know, like we're being lied to, and they're revealing all this truth at this time on purpose. They know, they must be using us somehow. Like don't. Anytime you think you're rebelling against the system or you've got one up on the rulers, I think you should think twice because they understand our psychology really well, and they're probably just manipulating us and using us, and all this energy we're putting into rebellion is probably helping them in some way, some aspect that we can't see.
People will be like, but water's level. Well, water's level on a globe as well. It's an argument I've never really gotten that much, and I keep trying to sort of help people, like to sort of sharpen their tools up, you know. And there's just memes that I keep seeing put about in places, and I just think that they're just letting people run with it, and they're just like, and it's sort of being perpetuated because they know that it can be used to sort of, like, they know that there's certain people that are waking up, and by getting people to adopt this thing, perhaps that way they can keep that control going a bit longer. Because look at how these celebrities have been talking about, so-called celebrities have been talking about it. I mean, what's going on? So maybe this is just a cry out to the flat Earth community. Like, how can an object appear lower than your sight line, or whatever you call it, when it's actually above it or at the same level? How could it ever drop below it? I don't know if any of you have seen Miles Davis's video, and there's many others that show this. That if you're at the same height as another object, and it's say 10 miles away, it'll have dropped down by about 66 feet, which actually matches what the globe predicts. So how is that actually work? I mean, is there something else going on with perspective that I don't understand? I mean, I just don't get it. But then there's observations where you would see things that are too far away, but maybe that's because it's over water and it's causing refraction. Maybe you don't get that over land, I don't know. It's just I'm seeing a lot of bullshit going on. I've talked about it before that there's bad arguments that people are pushing. Like, it just makes me question the whole thing nowadays. And I just don't know anymore. I just like, I think that we should all get together, whatever our beliefs are. Like, it doesn't matter, because we all know we're being lied to about so many things or whatever. I mean, but maybe they released the flat Earth on purpose. Again, even if it is true, it's been released. Look how long it's been out, right? It's been out for 4 years now, probably, since it started to take off. And if it keeps going like this, what's it going to be like in another 4 years? Yeah, I just don't see it happening. So it's like, are you really that sort of arrogant to think that you're so right and 99.99% of people are so wrong? And you might say, well, they're all being brainwashed and all that. Well, what if we're fucking being brainwashed? What if the main people actually brainwashing, like, it's all just a sort of controlled rollout psyop, basically. Like, show me a model of a flat Earth could actually predict what actually happens in reality. Yeah? There isn't any. So, until that, I can't call myself a flat earther, because there's things I cannot sort of rectify on a flat Earth, really. I mean, like, it could still be stationary. I mean, I don't think we're moving like we're told, but just because we're not moving doesn't mean it's flat either. So what if that's the thing that what they'll do is they'll mix truth and lies together to basically muddy the waters, to basically try and cause, like, controversy or whatever. I mean, it's just like, it's just like, I don't really feel like there's a lot of things going for it anymore. Like, I used to think there was so much going for a flat Earth, but then I actually started to research more, and now I'm starting to have doubts. I'm starting to have doubts in my mind about why, maybe there's, like, I don't know. It's just kind of so I just don't know how it would even work. There's things I don't know how it would even work, like. I'm not even going to go with the celestial things. I mean, but for me, like, why would things appear lower, than your eye level? That's something you would expect on a globe, something where there's a drop off, unless there's a slope or whatever, and you're looking down. So to me, like, there's a sort of but the point is that whatever the shape is, let's focus on what shape the world is in, because that is really what matters. The wars and everything, all the horrible things that are going on right now, and everyone focusing on arguing about what the shape of the Earth is, when maybe we just got to see the bigger picture and maybe just leave this whole thing behind. I mean, maybe Flat Earth asshole, Jake the asshole was actually right when he said maybe to leave this whole thing behind. I don't know, it's just, to me, it's just a waste of everyone's time. I've spent quite a bit of the last 2 or so years trying to sort of, like, put stuff out, and it just, I don't know, maybe I'm just been wasting my time. Because what if it isn't true? It's, I don't know, I'm not going to stay on here anyway. I just wanted to really sort of talk about why
P-Mars.
I don't even know if it even is flat anymore. Like what? Like, I mean, maybe we're inside of a globe.
I was just
I don't
thinking,
know.
Riley was asking a question about single name surnames of historical figures. It just occurred to me, there's a tremendous amount, particularly in Roman and Egyptian cultures. I mean, you got Caesar, Brutus, Cleopatra, Anthony. So,
Yeah, there's tons.
Yeah, if he ever asks you, just tell him, what
Well,
about,
Jesus isn't even a fucking surname. It's his first name, right?
Right, yeah, right.
So, like, what is he fucking talking about? He's an idiot.
Yeah, I don't know. They get caught up in these discussions. It's kind of amusing sometimes, but they never go anywhere with these foolish discussions that they have of arguing over minutia. Anyway, that had just occurred to me. I just wanted to put it out there. I'll catch you later.
Later. So this book is about the cultural Cold War, the CIA, and the world of arts and letters. It's about how the CIA was involved in the entertainment industry. They were behind authors, painters. And this was written by Frances Stoner Saunders. She says that they were pushing nihilistic art to battle the Soviet Union or some crap like that. Nihilism is this extreme skepticism.
Many learned men have disputed this, but in the 14th century, the Rambam,
So there's these nihilists in this movie here. These are the nihilists in The Big Lebowski.
Well, they finally did it. They killed my fucking car.
We want some money, Labotsky.
Yeah, otherwise we kill the girl.
Yeah, it seems you have forgotten our little deal, Lebowski.
You don't have the fucking girl, dipshit. We know you never did.
Are these the Nazis, Walter?
no, Donnie, these men are nihilists. There's nothing to be afraid of.
We don't care. We still want the money, Lebowski. We fuck you up.
Fuck you. Fuck the three of you. No. Without a hostage, there is no ransom. That's what ransom is. Those are the fucking rules.
His girlfriend gave up her toe.
She thought we'd been getting $1 million.
It's not fair.
Fair? Who's the fucking nihilist around here, you bunch of fucking crybabies?
Oh, no, cool it, Walter. Hey, look, pal, there never was any money. The Big Lebowski gave me an empty briefcase, so take it up with him, man.
And I would like my undies back.
This guy's gonna hurt us, Walter?
No, Donnie. These men are cowards.
So we take some money you have won, we call Shadifa.
Fuck you.
Hey, no, come on, Walter. Come on, we're ending this thing cheap, man.
No, what's mine is mine.
Oh, come on, Walter. Bye.
Show me what you got, nihilist.
I fuck you!
Walter, come on, he's got a sword thing, man.
Dipshit with a nine-toed woman.
I fuck you!
Love this
Fuck
movie.
you! I fuck you!
Oh, they don't say it in this scene, but they're like, in this whole the movie, they're like, we believe in nothing, Lebowski, because they're nihilists. They don't believe in shit. I don't know. The whole... So, like, the CIA was promoting nihilism, which is extreme skepticism. In the movie, the nihilists are like, we believe in nothing. They didn't show it in this scene. I thought they did. I thought they said that shit in the scene. But yeah, they say we believe in nothing throughout this movie. And when this flat Earth people, it's like they keep going, oh, well, I don't have beliefs. And that's kind of nihilistic. And the CIA was promoting nihilism in the entertainment. So flat Earth is promoting the same kind of propaganda the CIA was during the cultural Cold War. Busted.
So it just isn't right, is what I'm saying. Like, maybe if someone could like help me out in the comments afterwards, with why that, you know, when there's always this drop off with like distant objects, or the top is it, let's just say like with, you know, like you know, why there's always this sort of angle downwards if it's at your eye level. Because I've tried to make sense of it. I've tried to figure out how that could even work, but I just can't. So, like there's things like why does sometimes why is there always the bottom part cut off of buildings and stuff like that? I mean, yeah, there's like more visible than there should be, but even like with Sandra's videos, like with the Island Man, I've noticed there's always the bottom part cut off, and it seems to match the metabunk refraction thing. And I know that's sort of begging the question and all that, but it's nearer to a globe than it is a flat. So you would have to come up with excuses to account for that. I mean, I'm just being honest. Like, maybe I am too stupid to fucking get it, but I don't know, I just hope that people will be, you know, able to sort of, you know, offer something, you know, sort of useful, maybe. I don't know. I've tried to talk to people about this thing about, I mean, but you know, not other than looking at the comments. I mean, I'm not gonna get distracted with all that. And this whole like thing to me is a psyop, regardless of whether it's true or not. And I don't know, like when people talk about how gravity's been debunked and all that. But there's something holding us down, isn't there? Think about it. Anyway, I'm just gonna get a charger right now. So people say like that if you believe in a globe that you're denying the physics of water. Well, the like I said, there's something keeping us down. It's not just density and buoyancy. There is some forces. Well, I'm not maybe not, but there's something that's keeping us down. So why couldn't we be held to a globe Earth? I mean, why is that such an impossibility? Like, why is it? You know, like I don't get why people say it's an impossibility to be held to a globe Earth. I've just tried to think, well, why would it be impossible? So I just found that there's all these bad arguments, and I just don't see much left that's any good. So maybe I'm just going to give up on the whole flat Earth thing. But I know it's going to get a lot of hate and all that, but I really don't care. I mean, hate all you want. I'm fine. I just sort of, I speak my truth. You don't have to agree with me. I mean, if you want to think that it's flat, go ahead. If you want to think it's a globe, go ahead. If you want to think it's concave, go ahead. There's just things that I cannot wrap my head around how it could even work, and there's things that make more sense on a globe now. And I notice people are already unsubbing. I mean, that's fine. Go ahead. You know, if you don't like what I have to say, then there's really nothing keeping you here. I don't even know how much longer I'm keeping this channel going anyway. I mean, I just think there's a lot of charlatans out there. You know, a lot of these big channels, they're just after your money. They just after making money. They just after you're getting rich off of you, and you know, like it's just like a business model for them, I think. And again, I think the government's like ultimately behind all of it because they want to, you know, basically maybe the flat Earth itself is the straw man. It's basically the thing that whenever anyone who's into conspiracies starts talking about flat Earth, then that kind of discredits them. So I can see why it would be a psyop. So yeah, why couldn't we be held to a globe Earth? I mean, that, to me, that whole idea that we pull off a globe Earth, but someone's keeping us down. So if someone's keeping us down, and then someone's keeping us down, you know, like, and like why couldn't we be held to a globe? Like why would this? There is no top on a globe, so. Yeah, I mean, people laugh about, I think you know, people in Australia are upside down. I mean, I can't prove that, but I don't see how it is impossible though. So, anyway, maybe I'm just sort of. I mean, I'm not even responding to the chat, so sorry if you're putting stuff in the chat. I just don't want to get distracted with it all. Just want to say what I feel I need to say. I just sort of. I don't know what's true anymore. Like, I've completely, you know, sort of wiped everything. And I just want to look at things objectively. What can I prove to myself without relying on some external authority, whether it be NASA, whether it be some quote-unquote scientist? What can I prove to myself, yeah, to be self-evident that I can... And so, if we're on a globe, how do we prove it? Well, first thing you need to do is prove that there's a curvature. Well, how do you prove there's curvature? Well, you can do that by seeing how much drop-off there is every mile. Say, well, there's 8 inches, and then it basically there's an accumulative drop-off effect. So if that matches the globe, but also you would need to know the radius of the Earth. So if you've got that, then you've got basically proof of a globe, basically. So you need those sort of things. So I encourage people to go out objectively without any bias. And like, because maybe some people they be a globe now because if they've gotten so invested in the flat Earth, then maybe they don't want it to be a globe. So they'll basically reject everything. Like even with like the Pontchartrain stuff, I mean, it does look like it's curving. I will be honest, it does look like it's curving. I mean, I've not seen that myself, but like I said, that's not the only thing. So I've been trying to sort of reason in my own head, going through like all of the cognitive like dissonance and everything, and then I've kind of come out thinking maybe, you know, like it's like people ask for curved water, and then like what you expect to see, what you expect to see if there's curved water. Like, I mean, if the Earth is that big, then you wouldn't see any curved water on a small scale, would you? So, you know, that whole argument, I mean, but like I said, if people can sort of, you know, help me out, like, why does a object appear low, like that's at your eye level? Like, how can, let's just say, if you're on a mountain that's 1,000 meters, you're looking out at another mountain that's 1,000 meters, and it's 30 miles away. Why does the top appear 600 feet lower than your eye line? Shouldn't it be still at your eye line? Because like the top is even to where your position is, because that would imply that it dropped down an Earth curve, right? Wouldn't it? So I just need help with that. I mean, if someone could explain those sort of things, then I'd get back on board with, you know, the flat Earth, whatever. I mean, but like I said, I still don't think it's, you know, flying through space. Like, so maybe the sun still goes around us. I don't know. Like, but I don't know. It's like I've never been there, so I don't know. I don't know what's going on outside of what we can experience. Maybe there's a shell outside of it, and basically the shell rotates around us. Perhaps, I don't know. Like maybe the stars are in a shell, and basically they rotate around us, and basically the Earth is stationary in that. And basically, when you see the stars moving, they're basically just moving around like in a loop. And yeah, that's kind of, I don't know. It's just that no one's been able to create, you know, a flat working model. And I know people say, well, you know, the Earth isn't a model and all that, but why is it so easy? Why was it so easy for them to come up with a working globe model? Then, you know, like, how could you predict events with it? You know, that's just what I'm sort of having problems with. So, yeah, I just kind of, at this point, you know, I don't even know. And yeah, I'll be. I'm just, like I said, I'm open to all the possibilities that, you know, what if it isn't flat? And I kind of, I mean, with the Jake the Asshole thing, I mean, I think it was just a way that they sort of, I don't know, I mean, maybe he had a point, whole thing with the, you know, because even he was saying that maybe there's like a shell around us, and maybe the shell rotates, perhaps. I don't know. There's things that I cannot reason how it could even work. And people talk, so it's like they have to say there's refraction even on a flat plane. So they laugh at globe believers for saying that there's refraction. Do you think the light's bending around the curve? Well, you would have to also say that the light's refracting on a flat plane anyway. Yeah, so you have to say that light is the light is basically bending up into your eye, because that would then make it so that I see it. I see, say, let's just say I'm looking at somewhere that's at my eye level, but I have to look down to see it. Well, what does that imply? Does that imply a curvature, or does it imply perspective? I mean, people are saying that it's perspective. I was watching Phuket Word's latest video, and he was trying to debunk Miles Davis, right? So he was trying to debunk his observation, and I think, you know, like, actually, it's good to see him actually doing something, at least, like, you know, this direct trying to, was it his observation or whatever? But whatever, he was showing that the mountain in the distance, whatever, or the hill in the distance, it appeared lower than the top of the bridge. So I cannot figure out why would that even happen if it's flat, because wouldn't you see, like, the, you know, the bridge actually be lower than the distant hills? And they said about perspective and all that, but the perspective thing, you only see it go lower when you're below the thing, basically. But if you're at the level, it'll stay at that level. That's what perspective would do. If you look down a long hallway and the floor comes up, the ceiling comes down, but if you're, let's just say, like, in line with something, like, let's just say you have a person at the end of the hallway. If that hallway is completely flat, that person would still be at your eye line, wouldn't they? I mean, I've seen videos where they talk about that eye level isn't eye level and stuff like that. I've seen like Flat Earth Perth videos where he was showing that that you have to tip down your level in order to get it to line up. But I don't know. I don't really see why you would have to do that. I mean, shouldn't it be at the level that you're at? I mean, like I said, if people can put comments in afterwards, and I'll see what people are saying afterwards. But like I said, that's not the only thing. Like again, there's no working model out there. I mean, a lot of things that seem to make more sense with a globe, perhaps. But I'm still not a NASA fan or like that or heliocentrist even, because there's too many assumptions with that, and unless I saw proof of that, I mean, I would not go back to heliocentrism because there's too many like guesses and stuff with that, and I think that perhaps a geocentric universe could work just as well, because it's like you could probably make a model to work like in some way. I mean, but yeah, I just think that a lot of people will be triggered, but it's I just think it's time that we all sort of be honest with ourselves. Even if you think that it's flat, you don't really know. It's just something that you believe to be true, but probably because you've heard other people talk about it, you might have done the odd observation or whatever. But is looking over like 10, 15 or 20 miles or whatever the distance, and then being able to see an object, is that really proof that we're on a flat Earth? I mean, because I noticed there's usually something missing at the bottom. So, there's usually something missing at the bottom of the building. So what's going on is that refraction. I mean, people are going about angular limit, whatever you call it, angular resolution limit. I mean, I kind of try to entertain that a little bit, but does that account for all the missing amount? I don't know. But I know like people will probably go mad at me, but it's just I need help with some of this stuff. Maybe I'm too stupid to get it, or maybe I perhaps realize that a lot of the people that think that they have explanations, but really they're just kind of ad hoc, really, and it's not actually just sort of stuff that they come up with just to sort of, it's like excuses almost. Like it's just they just say a perspective, all the time. Where's the sunset? Perspective, but maybe, but we just gotta be objective. I mean, it does look like it arcs down. Like things do look like they arc down. So I know, like we say, well, we don't know what the stars are and all that. I didn't even really want to bring them up because I know people say that. But it does look like it arcs down. Like the sun does look like it arcs down. It does look like it arcs down to the horizon. I mean, would it do that on a flat Earth?
Beginning to think we shouldn't be out here.
People say, well, we don't know what the sun is.
Look like a crack in the...
Well, what could the sun be to do that then? Would be a question. What could the sun be in order to give you that effect on the flat Earth? So, yeah, I don't really have much else to sort of add. It's I just needed to get this out there because I just feel like people are maybe believing in something that isn't even true, and I do care. I really do. I mean, I just hope that people just use their critical thinking, but I don't want to like push it on people because because but yeah, I just sort of see a lot of cult mentality in this whole thing, even though I mean everyone has their own beliefs and stuff, but it's like people will just sort of follow the leader in a sense. If someone says something, they'll just believe it because someone else says it. And I do kind of agree somewhat with what belief is a thief was saying, and that, you know, how people will just believe it instead of actually sort of doing stuff for themselves. But I mean, I have seen stuff with this angle of attack, but I don't know, like, is that really an explanation as to how things can be missing from bottom up in that quantity? But I know people are going to be triggered and they're probably unsubscribed. But you see, if I was in this for popularity, I wouldn't even be saying it. I would pretend to just like, you know, sort of still be kind of fully on board, just to sort of get the likes and get the views and get all that. But I'm not. Like, I'll speak my truth whether people like it or not. So, with that being said, have a great weekend. Don't know when I'm going to be on next. I mean, I really don't even know if I want to be on here too much, to be honest. Like, maybe I can bring up some other topics. Maybe focus on some other topics that are important, you know, because there is important things that do need to be addressed. So yeah, just take care, everyone. Yeah, and just take it easy. You know, just think for yourself, and you know, don't, you know, just believe in it because Jeranism says so, or Eric Dubay says so. Really think about it for yourself, yeah, because what if these people are lying to you? What if all of these people are lying to you? And even if they're not lying to you, they might be, like, without them realizing they might be brainwashing you, because they might come across as though they're some kind of guru or something, and people sort of resonate, and then but they never actually sort of really go and research it for themselves. And there's this whole thing about a railgun thing, 100.
Oh, did you watch my video on Antonio Subret's
25-mile like thing with that? But I've tried to find out about that, but apparently it's just misinformation, really. I mean, I'll even look at it now, see what's being said about the. So let's just see the railgun, 125 miles or whatever it's supposed to be. You know, and I think it was just wasn't it just a practice for it or something? It wasn't actually a. Well, I've just looked here. It says it's a test fire video Tuesday of its new electromagnetic railgun, a weapon military officials have long heralded as the height of blah blah blah. Has a range up to 125 miles, but it was just a test, wasn't it? So was it even? And there's a video here. What's that? Flat Earth with curvature. So I mean, but it was just a test. I mean, it would have to actually be done. So if it's only just like being tested, I mean, then can it really sort of be considered as some proof of flat Earth? There's just things that, for me, like that. You know, you need to sort of go and do the research yourself. Yeah. It's like when people show this stuff with the blue marble photos or whatever, and you see the continent sizes are all wrong and all that. Well, actually, no, it's just that it will be explained by perspective. If you get closer to it, if you get a globe, that what will happen is you get closer to it, the continents will actually fill up more of that that circle because of perspective. And I know people don't get that, but it's just the way it works. You know, and I just feel like there's just too many charlatans and frauds out there, and they probably just give you sort of information that's not even really good, where it'll seem good at first, but then like it'll seem like it's proof, but then when you actually really look into it, it's not. So like, I don't want to trust anyone. I don't want to trust in anyone other than myself, what I can experience. still think there's more to this reality than what we're being told. It's just that, you know, what if it isn't flat? But to me, it doesn't really matter either way, because we're still being lied to about things, and let's just, like, you know, sort of come to an agreement on that. Even though we might not agree on what it is that we're being lied to about, we know we're being lied to. And again, you know, maybe they've released the flat Earth as a psyop to keep people divided, and so they're not actually so they're, you know, not actually sort of fighting the system that's enslaving humanity, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to call us humans, but, you know, men, women, children, you know. So yeah, I mean, I think it's good to not get too focused in this sort of arena anyway, because there's just other things that we can be doing, hobbies that you could be having, and stuff like that. You know, just find a hobby and work on it, you know. But if you're so focused on this sort of thing, then it's kind of distracting you from other things, perhaps, that maybe are going to be beneficial to your sort of growth, and maybe should, you know, maybe help others in things that, you know. So for me being on here, it's sort of keeping people maybe away from what they should be doing. So I need to sort of take responsibility for that, and, you know, and then maybe and then maybe I don't know, just things will be better then. But yeah, I just don't see this thing going anywhere. Flat Earth, and people keep sort of drumming it up and just, like, pushing it out there, and it's like, what if it isn't true? What if we are all just wasting the times? What if we are just looking into things too much? And like I said, I still don't trust NASA and all that with the moon landings and everything. Fuck that. I mean, that's, to me, seems like a lot of bollocks. But again, what if it isn't flat? So you know, I think people just need to sort of really think about it. Like, you don't have to agree with what I'm saying. I don't want to brainwash people. No? But then again, why would I even be on here if I didn't want to try and help people out? I mean, if I didn't want to, you know, sort of help people to sort of, you know, maybe realize that maybe that they could be wrong about things, and that maybe there's another way. I still don't agree that, you know, like with the whole education system and how it indoctrinates people, because, you know, I think it is the education system's fault, the reason why we're in this situation in the first place, where people are still arguing over the shape of the Earth. Like, no one should even have any argument over it. It should just have been done a long time ago. But I think it's all been released on purpose, just to fuck with people's heads and keep everyone divided and distracted, and just, yeah, I can only speculate, but so it's not right. I mean, I gotta admit, like, some of the, you know, when you see some of the high altitude footage, it does look like there is a bit of curve up there. I mean, that could just be the perspective. I mean, the horizon does seem to drop also a little bit, which is what you would expect. People will expect that it would be down below their feet or something, whatever. I mean, you just got to think about perspective in that. I mean, it causes a ramp up effect, but it wouldn't cut, like, it would just come a bit below your eye level, whether it's flat or a globe. It'd be a little bit lower on a globe. So yeah, there's things I cannot sort of seem to be able to rectify with a flat Earth, and yeah, I just don't really see how it could really work. Things that do make me think, yeah, there could be some curvature there. It doesn't mean the whole Earth is a ball, but it definitely proves it's not flat, if that's the case. I mean, it couldn't even be totally flat anyway, or totally spherical. So we could agree on that, I guess. Everyone could agree on that. It's not totally flat and not totally spherical either. So, yeah, I mean, believe what you will. You know, I mean, I wouldn't have beliefs myself because beliefs are mind viruses. When people talk about critical thinking, it seems like some of the quote-unquote flat earthers, that they don't always have as much critical thinking as they're saying that we should be having. Like that they're just parroting things. They're not actually doing the research and really, you know, they're just sort of promoting these memes and just sort of, it all just seems like a meme to me. Like perhaps it's, you know, psyop meme, whatever you call it. Like it's just a controlled psyop to keep people away from the real truth of what's going on.
Says that you need to use critical thinking. Do you focus on the word critical? Do you assume that thinking critically must be negative, requiring you to criticize or be critical of something you've read, heard, or watched? The modules you will complete in this course will help you understand what critical thinking is and how you can do it. As we go through this module, you will learn that thinking critically should not be assumed to be synonymous with criticizing. Once you learn to think critically, you might criticize an argument or claim, but your thinking will be thoughtfully reasoned consideration, not reflexive, quick, and unthinking judgment. In the concept of critical thinking, the term critical refers to a way of thinking, an analytical stance you take with regards to assessing claims that you've read, heard, or saw. In this module, we will explain the concept and activity of critical thinking. 1. We will construct a useful, everyday definition of critical thinking and identify what critical thinking is not. And 2. Show you the purpose and value of critical thinking. According to one definition, critical thinking is the careful application of reason in the determination of whether a claim is true. Another definition holds that critical thinking is judicious reasoning about what to believe and therefore what to do. Let's note the important pieces of these definitions. Critical thinking requires 1. Careful, intentional thinking, also known as judiciousness. 2. The use of reason or logic. 3. Judgment about beliefs. And finally, 4. Application to real-world problems and issues. Let's walk through these one by one. Careful and intentional. First, consider the ideas of being careful and judicious. Critical thinking is not a fast or easy process, even if you know how to do it. To do it properly requires you to take your time. Being careful and judicious require you to be purposeful and deliberate in your evaluation. It also requires you to be thorough. To think critically, you have to focus on the issue at hand, taking in all its complexity, breadth, and depth. Critical thinking is not passive. The goal of critical thinking is not simply to decide whether to accept or reject an argument, to register a yay or nay vote. In critical thinking, the goal is to fully evaluate all parts of a claim that someone has made, to assess each of its parts as well as the whole. Certainly, there are relatively easy black and white cases. For example, consider the claim that was made in the day of Columbus, when people said, ships sailing east from Europe will eventually fall into space because the Earth is flat. You don't need to be an expert in critical thinking to see this as an example of an argument that's pretty easy to reject in total, assuming you know the Earth is not flat. However, much more often, we are asked to think critically about more complex, challenging claims or arguments that contain much more gray than they do black or white. So in such cases, it's much harder to say, I agree, or I disagree. Critical thinking is the logical process that you go through to determine whether you agree or not. Critical thinking allows you to explain why you disagree, what parts of the claim or argument you find wrong or troubling, and even what argument you might make in its place. As we proceed in learning about critical thinking, you'll find that by offering alternatives to the argument, you and others involved strengthen and clarify views and positions. Thus, critical thinking can be seen as an exercise in collective problem solving. Throughout these critical thinking modules, you will be asked to take what you learn and apply it in class. That means thinking critically about what you're reading, as well as claims made by your professor and classmates. Sometimes, you will have to critically evaluate claims made by others. Other times, you'll be asked to actively defend your own claims, which will require you to think critically about your own perspectives and positions. Critical thinking is not a process that most people do in their daily activities, but it's important to both your understanding of what other people say and what you think and say to others. At times, you may struggle to use the critical thinking process, and that's okay. Number 2, reason or logic. So, critical thinking is an active process meant to move us, whether it's a class or another community that you belong to, towards greater understanding of difficult economic, social, ethical, and legal problems. In order to do this effectively, critical thinking requires applying reason. Over the next few modules, we will examine more deeply reason. We will develop yardsticks for assessing whether an argument is the product of good, thoughtful reasoning. We will compare reason with other ways of judging or reacting to claims. For example, people often make decisions based on pure emotion, intuition, faith, or common sense. Utilizing reason does not necessarily mean throwing these sensibilities, emotion, intuition, etc., out the window. It's not cold, hard, or unfeeling. But critical thinking requires putting these other ways of thinking and reacting under the microscope of reason. For example, many people decide not to try certain activities because they say, I'm too scared. I can't go running tonight. I don't have anyone else to run with, and I'm afraid of running by myself at night. Fear, like all emotions, can either be justified or unfounded. When we expose this emotional response to reason, we can determine whether it's justified or not. Are there good reasons to be fearful of running alone at night? Is the area known for crime? Are there wild animals or dogs to worry about? Is it easy to get lost? By asking these kinds of questions, we can probe to see whether our emotion, fear, is the product of a reasonable assessment of the situation. 3 and 4, judgments and application. Finally, let's consider these last 2 pieces of the definition of critical thinking, determining whether a claim is true and deciding how to act based on that determination. These speak to the purpose of critical thinking. When we engage in critical thinking, our goal is to determine whether the claim before us is true or not, and then to use that assessment to decide what action or actions to take. Ultimately, when we are asked to think critically, we are being asked to take a position regarding the truth or acceptability of something we've read, heard, or watched. While the exercise of critical thinking is not biased toward one outcome or the other, in the end, we are expected to have a reasoned judgment about whether we disagree or agree with a claim or argument. So why do we need to take a position or pass judgment? Let's consider the following scenario. One of your classes requires students to complete a group project worth 50% of their final grade. You're put into a group with 4 other students. At your first meeting, one of your group members says, "Listen, I've done this whole group project thing before, and it's a real pain in the butt. Nobody really likes working with other people, and we all just end up fighting anyway. It's too hard to split up the parts of the project. No one's ever happy with their part. Last time I had to do one of these things, we decided that each of us would just do the whole project. Then we shared our reports and voted on the best one. That's the one we turned into the professor. We should do the same thing for this class." Is this a good argument? Do you agree with all of the claims he made? Do those claims necessarily lead to his conclusion about how to handle the project? Should you go along with your classmate? Or is there a better way to handle the project? Remember, 50% of your final grade is at stake here. Your classmate has had certain experiences that make him believe that doing group project work separately, as individuals, is better than dividing up the tasks among the group. If you simply accept his belief without question, without thinking about it critically, you may come to share his belief simply as an inherited opinion. An inherited opinion means that you believe completing group projects this way is better because someone else told you it was better. Now, many of us hold inherited opinions on a lot of topics. Frequently, our political, moral, and ethical beliefs have been handed down to us by our families or communities. How many of us could actually provide evidence or reasons for those beliefs if asked to do so? But we are often required to do just that. We live in a diverse, complicated world in which people hold widely different views on many topics. Individuals, communities, businesses, and governments need to decide what to do on many issues that are the subject of strong disagreements. Critical thinking will help us both offer reasons for our own positions on what action should be taken and effectively evaluate the reasons offered by others. To see how important critical thinking can be, consider this scenario. You are working as a marketing assistant for a marketing company. You've been in that position for a few years and you're looking to catch the attention of your supervisor. You know there's a marketing manager position opening up soon and you've got your eye on it. You want to distinguish yourself. Fortunately, an opportunity presents itself. Your supervisor asks both you and your coworker, who's also an assistant, what you think the company should focus on for an upcoming ad campaign. Should they invest more resources in traditional marketing venues like print and TV ads, for example, or in innovative online and social media venues? Wanting to seem like you're on top of things and ready to go, you respond quickly with an email. Definitely traditional venues, and here's how we should spend the money in those venues. Your coworker doesn't respond right away, but the next day offers her assessment. We should go with online and social media. I've attached a detailed report showing recent trends in market research with data that demonstrates the increased return on investment of social media marketing campaigns compared with traditional venues. Who do you think will get the attention of the supervisor? The employee who made an unsupported claim about what to do, you, or the employee who offered evidence and reason for her position? Taking the time to assess beliefs and opinions, to think critically about them, gives us insight and understanding that we would not have developed without critical thinking. Insight and understanding leads to justification for taking or not taking certain actions. But it also gives us ownership over our beliefs. As we think critically about our own and others' beliefs, we develop the skills that allow us to know why we believe what we believe. We can offer evidence and reason to defend our beliefs, and that reason giving leads us to actions that fit with our beliefs. Ultimately, we have true freedom of thought and opinion that comes when we know what we believe and why. This module has provided you with a working definition of critical thinking. You should now be able to explain what critical thinking is and how it's different from other types of thought. You should understand the key features of critical thinking and to appreciate its purpose and value.
Yeah, I think that's going to be it though. But I'm anyway, thanks for watching. Sorry I haven't been watching chat, I just didn't want to get distracted with it. So yeah. Like I said, I don't care either way what it is. I mean, people say that, how it sort of, it proves there's a God if it's flat. Well, no. I mean, you shouldn't need a flat
Generally
Earth
be
to
more
prove
like
a God.
sandpaper, where you might have to rub off some of the surface to get down lower, but you're working more toward an
You
actual
shouldn't need a
solution.
bowler to prove there isn't. Well, I mean, basically the whole thing with the shape, to me, it's like whatever's going on with the shape, we're still being lied to. You know, there's big pharma, there's vaccines, the legal system, the false flag attacks, things like that. The list goes on. So yeah, just keep searching. Maybe you should do like search within. Perhaps that's the thing, like, because all this external things it's all programming. Maybe we need to just let go of everything and just go back to what we can know within ourselves. So again, thanks for watching. Take care. Don't know when I'm going to be on next, but hopefully I'll be on with my mum next Sunday doing a cooking show. I mean, just, yeah, like, that's it. So peace out.
Starting way back, yeah, when Yahweh was busting bubbles, contemplating this disease we call man's troubles. Adam and Eve were out picking fruits and misbehaving. Knowledge of the tree of life, yeah, they both was craving. So with the reptile, they began to contract the sweetness of fruit in their mouth. Their lips were smacking. But God's stewardship, both parties were lacking. Ever since then, it seems the human race has been slacking. And now they dumbfounded, stumbling around and wearing leaves because a reptile has some tricks up his sleeve. Come on. Now looky here, lend me your ear and I'll tell another fable about these two brothers coming up, named Cain and Abel. Cain was in commerce, passing around funny nose. Abel was discharging debts, using the blood of goats. And it came to pass, as Cain was out cutting grass, Abel getting business, busting all types of ass. Whatever Abel did, he seemed to get so blessed. This being the reason for all of Cain's distress. What one brother had, the other seemed to lack, and this is why Abel had to get his head cracked. What's it gonna take for man to break free? What's it gonna take to break him out of his hypocrisy? The earth is going through some major birth pains, 'cause we can't keep down this reptilian Let's look upon this path with further investigation. How one species alone could cause such devastation? I'll make certain of this. It'll be the case how something so cold-blooded controls the human race. And if I don't bite, here's something you'll appreciate. Our brainstem and cerebellum dominates. And after millions of years, there can be no doubts that our brains evolved from the inside out. So to the multitude, I say to you, try not to be perplexed.
The book of Proverbs, which is the word of God, tells us that wicked men hide when no one is pursuing. That basically means people who hide their face, hide themselves and do things to other people in secret so that they can't get found out. Now the Lord has told us that the wicked are scared to come out into the light for fear that their deeds will be exposed. And of course then they will be punished, so they hide. Now these people aren't just your neighbours, aren't just people who run this country. It's all over the place. It's around 20% of the world's population.
Now a question. What have Herbert Hoover, Art Linkletter, Jack London, and Richard Nixon all had in common? Well, they've all been members of the exclusive all-male Bohemian Club in California, where every year at this time, the elite from around the country get together for 2.5 weeks of fun and games.
Gemini.
As this special assignment report.
A non-essential elite, presidential retreat, confidential, discreet, monumental deceit. They're not gentle or sweet, more than mental defeat. Once you enter your seat, well now you're in for a treat. The cremation of care to the creation of fear. This location is where they vacation each year. My frustration, I swear, is for the whole nation to hear. My donation to your ears, world domination is near. Listen, wealthy and well-placed are these snake-eyed hawks, unhealthy and pale-faced at their lakeside talks. I've come to warn you, they cover their heads with hoods and dance around naked in California's redwoods. A gentleman's club equipped with good drinks and table shows. Hat legs rolled up, hoodwinks and cable toes. Mock sacrifices to Moloch, alcoholics frolic. Political false prophets come to pickpocket your wallet. Who? Tell me who? Tell me who? Who? Tell me 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 who? Each year Bones membership grows by 15. Evidence that could bury presidents if seen. There'll be more than regrets if one of their secrets gets told. There will be more than threats as the last cigarette gets rolled. You must have plenty of money to enter the windowless tomb. 322, not many have been through this room. Trust me, the order of death amounts to more than Masons. Trilateral Commission Council on Foreign Relations. Listen, I'll come to paint a portrait of a picture scary. It's like a eugenics project the way they intermarry. Scriptures vary, but many say that it's just a mirage. Made their money off the slave trade and espionage. Ask the paparazzi, Father George's pops was a Nazi. Clear the smoke and you'll find old folks cloaked in Versace. Watch me expose those that chose a lousy copy of a German fraternity financed by the drowsy poppy. Who? Tell me who? Tell me who? Who? Tell me 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 who?
Secret Society.
It's a war for control. The control of your mind and your body. Americans are traditionally independent, very hard to control. But the architects of the New World Order have ways to force you into submission. First, through a well-orchestrated agenda including health care, financial security, safety from crime, and environmental issues, the public will be coerced into accepting a national identification card. It will be disguised in the cloak of benevolence, the government doing a great good deed for the people. Once the national identification card is in place, it will become the ID card. Without it, you'll not be able to make deposits or withdrawals at the bank, write a check at the supermarket, or even drive your automobile. Soon thereafter, legislation will require all citizens to carry their national ID card at all times.
knowledge. Kick that street knowledge, G. Please, man, you got that drugs. I need my fix of that dope. Come on, man, please, man, you got it, man. Come on, man.
Now a lady's gumdrop, jelly beans, GMT, peyote. I know you feel me. Peace song is a natural trip to me. My rhymes are so vivid, you start to see things way different. America's fate. I was fast asleep, but now I'm wide awake. I was under the spell of King Goo and reserve notes. Religion and fashion, I used to be flashy till I had a total recall. Forgot what I already knew. It took me 33 years for me to see the truth. Ever so clear, I was too young, I couldn't articulate myself the right way, son. But now, let me break it down, pass it all around. This is not a theory, the conspiracy is real. They wanna put me in a straight jacket in a padded room. Tell the world it's 12 monkeys, so they could be confused. Illuminati want my mind, soul, and my body. Secret society, trying to keep their eye on me. But I'ma stay incognito, in places they can't find me. Make my moves strategically. Illuminati want my mind, soul, and my body. Secret society, trying to keep their eye on me. But I'ma stay incognito, in places they can't find me. Make my moves strategically. They say life is like chess. Well, fuck that, I'm tired playing games with you kids. Ain't no time for playing. Check the rhymes I'm saying. I write it for the streets, for the hood. Inspiration, inspire a part of the map. Where it's poverty, I started with a mob, but now I got an army of soldiers and troopers. The TV and the radio scared to death of us, so we hit the YouTube up. Now I got millions of views. Now watch how many rappers follow what P do. Now I'm too hoodie to conform to the program. I'm too much of a rebel for me to try to fit in. Nigga, it don't matter the color of your skin. Right now you either positive or you negative. I got friends in high places, multiple races, and coaches on my side. All you got is paper. Illuminati want my mind, soul, and my body. Secret society, trying to keep their eye on me. But I'ma stay incognito, in places they can't find me. Make my moves strategically. Illuminati want my mind, soul, and my body. Secret society, trying to keep their eye on me. But I'ma stay incognito, in places they can't find me. Make my moves strategically.
Hey yo, all they wanna do is dance. That's all they wanna do.
Get it. Get it. Get it. This is that automatic. I stay fresh like I'm wrapped in plastic. Beat goes plastic, see galactic. Southside Corey, Cadillacic. Charismatic, Asiatic. I hustle for mathematics. Cameras, action, change the status. Actor, tap me your favorite actress. Gucci, rockin', Gucci, poppin', movie, watchin', booties, choppin', body moving, showing, proving, styling, and being fly. I touch the masses like a Catholic. Expensive rap shit, my future's backlit. Interact with the cat who master stacks my vernacular track. Y'all react, so let's go.
This is that new shit. Keep them standing in mind. That universal mind control. Now move your behind. You know you like it. It's calling your name. Nigga, this is that new shit. And it don't feel the same. It's got that dang, 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 ball, dang, 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 ball, dang, dang, dang.
Some pop, some lock, some move robotic. Like cash money, I stay in pocket. UMC, rock, don't stop it. Six exotic, mix hypnotic. Superhero role, boy, I'm bionic. You a fan on some level, I'm a supersonic. Girl, you got it, you can strip like comic. And trance to melodic, technotronic. Beats, rockin', seats, dropping, seats, popping, streets, rockin', freaking, shaking, money, making, styling, and being fly. I'm the one the ladies chose to. Strip and pose to, take off their clothes to. Toast to the one that go coast to coast. Or Mr. Globo, focal, let's go,
This is that new shit. Keep them standing in mind. That universal mind control. Now move your behind. You know you like it. It's calling your name. Nigga, this is that new shit. And it don't feel the same. It's
the future of this age. From the shop, so I talk this way. Twist the hate at the Grand Marquis. Rock the fly shit like every day to the top, and I'm on my way. Let's go.
This is that new shit. Keep his hand in his mind. That universal mind control. Now move your behind. You know you like it. It's called in your name. Nigga, this is that new shit, and it don't feel the same. It's got that dang, 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 bomb, bomb, dang, 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 bomb, bomb, dang, dang, dang.
One, two, we got Juice from Chicago in town.
You know what?
Just high off
Yo,
the
let's
MC
do it like
battle.
this. Yo, let's do it like this. Yo, to any nigga, I'm the one on the poster holding Janet. I might just be the dopest freestyle nigga on the planet. When I rock the mic, I bust it off like a gauge. I let these niggas know freestyles ain't from a page. They're younger than the models that be working for Calvin. Ask them to freestyle, it's the stuff that's on their album. Well, I'ma tell them something, it's unforgetting, no bull-in. When I rock mics, my stuff is never written. I wish a nigga would try to come and test what I got. I put this microphone straight through his chest. I don't care where he from here to Connecticut, he gets shredded with etiquette, subject and the predicate, never let it get out of pocket when I rock it. MC Juice plugged in like a mother effing socket. I don't even gotta cuss when I bust. Turn Arthur to ashes and MCs to dust. Who really think they wanna get meticulous and kick this ridiculous rip microphone? You can't freestyle and it's conspicuous. When I rock, I tell MCs they can't rock me. MC Juice is dope, I bash his skull like I was Rocky. Somebody told me ever since my birth I was the dopest nigga off of the top on planet Earth. So if any brother wanna bring it to the wake up, bring your dice, bring cognac so we can shake up and have a good time like JJ Evan. Niggas gay as Tevin, I take them out right at 11 o'clock. Battles niggas don't rock right. I get dirtier than pit bulls inside a cockfight. Niggas think they dope, I cook they style slow and steady like a crock pot. They getting on my nerves like stupid niggas trying to cock block. And don't try to diss me, your whole style is whiskey. I have a nigga tipsy like he just hung with Dizzy Gillespie. Crunch him like Nestle, Elvis Presley. Shook his hips but couldn't get around, you don't impress me. So who's the next MC to try to flex? I rock microphones and always be having sex. And next time you want to battle, we could do the Constitution and call my DJ for a effing revolution.
Oh!
Puerto Rico, ¿a dónde está mi gente?
Hey Juice, I think it's on you once again, man. Once again,
Yo, it's really kinda funny, MC Juice is my name. I'm finna kick some stuff about the phony rappers in the game. I'm at the UIC Pavilion wearing MC Juice medallions. Brazilian or Sicilian, rip apart they whole battalion. These playalistic rappers fall prey to Juice the infamous. Versace wearing niggas always trying to be some pimps in this biz. And record labels sign the most unpresentable clicks that go platinum for grabbing on their genitals. And every single day while brothers die up in my mix, all they ever rap about is Alizé and I guess it really knows on the mic how I do it. Everybody know I got the microphone and the fluid. Brothers know on the mic I got the timing. You really think you're rhyming? Cause Billboard charts say you're climbing. I ain't saying no names, but why you biting his style? Had these niggas laying in the casket with your crystal. And all the record buyers, y'all be making music choices. So why you be believing all these playalistic voices? It's all the same, the Big Willie Whack, the unoriginal. Got the whole world like believing y'all some criminals. Before them record deals, they was broken, you can check it. Cause true players don't be having time for making records or no videos. They too busy hustling in the zone. And if you got so much loot, put out your records on your own. And all this East versus West rap mess need to stop. Acting like some little shorties, ain't nobody getting props. Cause if you was, they wouldn't have to diss no other state, no other crew, no other clique to put some food up on your plate. I be like point blank, this whole freaking industry is whack. But this brother from the go gon' bring that lyricism back. And a lot of y'all may not like the way I'm getting loose. So whoever wanna battle, bring that mess to the juice. Cause I rock the microphone and everybody know I battle right. Watch me fly the mic and rip this mother via satellite. Ain't no pimping me, I freestyle and show no empathy. Marley should've been the fifth nigga on the symphony. Couldn't say the N-word, but I'ma have to spark it. MC Juice is dope monopoly, let's free park it. Or go around the board on the mic, I'm just advancing. In the game of Monopoly, they don't got a chance in. I SMCs who wanna be hard. Rappers need a rap, get out of jail free card. And then when they're done, they be laying in the middle. I cook them like a griddle, the penguin and the riddle. I don't need to cuss, get beheaded. Nabisco brothers get shredded. My Alzheimer's style, you can't forget it. But if you try, then I'ma have to get flyers. So your brothers who be asking why I'm the #1 guy, so I could pass it to the right and to the left of me. Cut off their ankles just in case they wanna step to me. MC Juice ain't open to rebuttal, who muddle? Rappers fly up in the air but get blown up like the shuttle. Cause I'm act right, attract light like photosynthesis. Rappers is whack as hell and I'ma put it in parenthesis. No pause or comma, cause I'ma keep you fearing it. You got a question mark? I'm the nigga here, period.
Already doesn't make sense, but in a way it kind of does, because if I go outside I know that I'm not going to be drifting off into space or something like that. Google is better than nature. Well, it is if you're trying to find out what other people have done, right? I mean, going outside and yelling at your neighbor to figure out if the earth is a globe is probably just going to get you shot or yelled at, I think. Like, I mean, if I go to my neighbor right now and go, hey, is the earth a globe? They're going to be like, here, have a beer. So I'm not worried about getting shot or yelled at. But they're not going to be able to tell me who did an experiment to prove the earth was a globe. But you know who will, though? Google. And you know what? They don't even want money for that shit. Google will just be like, yeah, bro, you want to know who did that? Here. It's like 15 different sites you can go to read about 50 different people's take on this experiment, or their explanation of it. The experiment's the same. The explanation and the results might be explained differently. So yeah, Google is better than nature when it comes to researching, because nature isn't going to offer these things to you on a platter. But like I said, if you think nature is where you're going to get your answers, then you can walk outside at 5'10" and you can look at an earth that's 24,000 miles, of which you take up 0.00000 some odd amount and can barely see any of it, but you can make an assertion as to whether or not it's flat or round. Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You can see 3 miles of 24,000 and you know it's flat, even though you don't know it's flat, because there's hills and there's rocks and there's mountains. It goes, sometimes the hills go up to the left, up to the right, down, up. There's no way that you can look outside and tell me that you think the earth is flat. I don't care. But yes, all right. I've been on here long enough, I think. But it is a lazy thing that I want you guys to start addressing as flat earthers, is to go out and do the experiments, and don't just look outside. That's ridiculous. That's the most absurd argument you could even start to make. But you could start there. I'm not going to say that it isn't a place to start. Sure. Go outside and look 3 miles into the horizon and go, it looks flat. Start there, you're lazy, because that's ridiculous. Because if you have to think about it more critically, which you don't tend
his ignorance with the response left to a crowded foster home by a 15-year-old mom. Never been held in anyone's arms. When you've never been moved, it's really hard to move on. A young saleswoman sets up shop when the sun sets. She'll make your wildest dreams come true at a price you won't forget. The sadly married set up alibis, no harm, no regret, hoping they meet an angel in bed that could wrestle the devil right out of their heads. The city runs fast, no one has time to sit with themselves, no time to look into our pain or see the same despair. But everyone else, it's here, it's there, it's everywhere. Tears soak each card the dealer dealt. Time taught me how to see every second as heaven, even though they're perfectly disguised as hell. And I refuse to let past bruises cover the light. It ain't all good, but it's all good enough, so I know I'm alright. Agony is truth, it's our connection to the living. I accept it as perfection and keep on existing in the now. I can
only build if I tear the walls down. Even if it breaks me, I won't let it make me frown. I'm falling, but no matter how hard I hit the ground, I'll still smile. I can only build if I tear the walls down. Even if it breaks me, I won't let it make me frown. I'm falling, but no matter how hard I hit the ground, I'll still smile.
Ear to ear, as if that's all I'm here for. Despite the wars founded by the rich, funded by the poor, kids barely 18 are dying, so billionaires can make more. Elsewhere, hungry mothers watch the baby starve to death in a beat-up shack on a dirt floor. The aged professor quotes freedoms without a path. Now he dresses like a widow and preaches love is dead in every class. But curiosity killed the cat and taught the dog in him how to act. And it burned his bridge to Jill, so he tries to drown the guilt with a bottle of Jack. Self-proclaimed rebels say we must oppose the system. You gotta take a stand. If you're not against them, you're with them. The signs read, support the troops, bring them home, no more innocent victims. But when a homeless veteran asks for spare change, they're too busy protesting to even listen. And I'm no different, I live in conflict and contradiction. But it can be so beautiful when I don't reject what lies within. It's beautiful the way agony connects us to the living. I think of the world when I hurt and keep on.
Step 13, enjoy popular music.
Top the charts again, it's Everything is Awesome.
Oh my gosh, I love this song.
Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when we're part of the team. Everything is awesome. And we're living our dream.
Always use a turn signal. Park between the lines. Yes. Drop off dry cleaning before noon. Read the headlines. Don't forget to smile. Always root for the local sports team.
Go sports team!
Always return a compliment. Hey, you look nice.
So do you.
Drink overpriced coffee.
There you go. That's $37.
Awesome.
Everything is awesome.
Did you see where are my pants last night?
Classic episode.
Everything is awesome.
Instructions coming in from Central. Okay, it says here to take everything weird and blow it up. All right, Silverhead. I think it looks exactly like it does in the instructions. Hey, buddy, I need a 1x2 keyhole.
No problem, Michael.
2x2 macaroni over here.
2x2 macaroni flying in. Here's one, Mel.
T-slopes, come on, everybody.
Roger that, Roger.
Coming at you.
Can I get a couple LARPs over here?
Thanks, Gail.
Hey, guys, watch me drill this down.
Everything is cool when you're part of a team. Everything is awesome.
Everyone's talking. Life is good because everything's awesome.
Man, I feel so good right now. I could sing this song for hours.
Everything is awesome.
When you're part of a team.